start recording and then, okay.
Desk is clean. I
Okay.
didn't even check behind me.
Okay, so this is just basically, it's kind of an informal interview that we're doing for our biology group project. It's going to be 20 to 30 minutes. 30 minutes is our max, so we can't go over that. So I'm going to start a timer, and we're just going to ask you questions about your profession. And
Okay.
they should be pretty simple, easy questions. I don't think any of us came up with super complex questions. So, do you want to start by just telling us about a little bit about yourself, Dr. Soto?
Okay. So I'm Dr. Nicole Soto, and I live here in Rockport, and I have been practicing in Rockport going on my 21st year here. Before that, I was at Houston, and I did my residency in Houston and San Antonio. And was working at St. Joseph Hospital with a world-known retina specialist, Charles Garcia. And he was famous for writing the diabetic clinical symposiums and things like that. I also worked at the Good Neighbor Indigent Healthcare Clinic, as well as, my gosh, I just had an infarct. So it was an indigent healthcare clinic run by the Catholic nuns right under 59, right by Minute Maid Park. Anyway, that has since moved, but I worked there as well. I did special training in HIV, retinopathy, and AIDS, as well as ocular disease, diabetes, macular degeneration, and glaucoma. Those are my fun things.
Okay, I'll start with my first question, and then I guess we can each unmute and then ask our questions. So, what would you say your biggest challenge was when it came to your schooling?
My schooling. I would have to admit, I was a athletic nerd, so I love school. My biggest challenge was trying to fit everything in as far as studying, the amount of material in the time of day that was demanded. So we would have to cover vast quantities of material in a short amount of time with rote memorization. That was probably the most challenging. It's pretty difficult, and I think every student is faced with a lot of knowledge in a short amount of time that you have to not only just memorize, but retain that for the next session.
Hi, I can go next. My name is New, by the way. Nice to meet you.
Hi, New. Nice to meet you.
So my first question is, how did you decide on being an optometrist?
Oh, awesome question. So when I did my undergraduate, I went to West Texas A&M University in Canyon. And when I was thinking about going into the medical field, at that time, way back then, 30 years ago, they made us do shadowing, or what we call volunteer work, at different facets of the medical community. So I would have to work so many hours, and like, for example, I worked in the ER. I did 60 hours in the ER. I did so many hours at a pediatrician's office. Although I like children, that was not for me. OBGYN, general practitioner, orthopedic. So if you think you want to go into the medical profession, the best thing for you to do is get out there and figure out what you wanted. I liked the ER. I was really good at it. I thrive under stress. But after working 60 hours in the ER, I realized as a female, and I knew I wanted to be a mother, that was very stressful. The ER hours that I worked, and even all the doctors that I interviewed at that time, and the nurses too, they're a huge part of that program. I knew that I wanted to be able to, at the end of the day, stop, leave my work at work, and come home and be with my family. So I wanted scheduled patients. Even though we kind of laugh, you make an appointment schedule, but you either have no shows or you have emergencies that walk in your door anyway, which we had today, for example. I have every day, but I wanted to be able to see my patients, get my charting done, submitted referrals, surgeries, and then be able to go home and put my feet up. Versus when I used to be at St. Joseph, even after I graduated optometry school, did my residency, I would sleep at the hospital about 2 nights a week when I was on working there, just because the traffic, and I didn't have children at that time, so it was okay. But when I volunteered to work at an optometrist office and co-managing with an ophthalmologist, I knew that's what I wanted to be. I was like, this is a way that I can help people, change people's lives by seeing. The best thing that ever happened is when I put glasses on a 5-year-old kid for the first time, and he could see the leaves on trees. He thought they were green blobs. He never knew stars were pinpoint dots in the sky. And I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to help people see the world, because it's a beautiful world, and you just have to be able to look for it.
Well, hi, my name is Karen.
Hi, Kate.
Yes. So my question is, do you adjust like your procedures for like first-time patients, like regarding like your like older patients, like I guess like that you already met before?
Yeah, my new versus established patients, absolutely. New patients, I recommend that they come in like first thing in the morning, and first thing in the afternoon. We call our new patients surprises, because you never know what you're going to walk into. New patients, you have to gather and attain a lot of history. And a lot of people don't really realize that the eye is a window to the soul. It's a window to the whole entire body. So for example, we had several new patients today, and one of them ended up being more of a neurological workup, and I studied 2 years in neuro-ophthalmology, oncology, with some great surgeons and doctors, Rosa Tang and Jade Schiffman out of Houston. So I thought about being a neuro-optometrist for a while. But anyway, so when I recognized this is not a normal eye exam, this is a neurological exam, he had what we call nystagmus, and it was a new onset latent nystagmus. So I had to go through all of that history questionnaire. So new patients sometimes can be what we also call schedule busters, because they say, oh, I'm just here for an eye exam, but you really don't know what they're seeking, what they're needing. This particular gentleman was coming in because he was concerned because his eyes were shaking back and forth, and he had what we call nystagmus. And he wanted to know, why are my eyes doing this? This is a new onset. It's been going on for 6 weeks. So I knew when I was looking at him, I thought, okay, so have we had an MRI? So we have to start going through all of that neurological workup. So new patients, I schedule early in the morning and early in the afternoon, because they may be there a while. It may take them long to fill out paperwork. Even though we're in this technology era of Age and Zoom and all my, like you at home could log into my account for you through my office, and you can fill out all your medical stuff, online. But literally, I want to say 25% of the patients do that. And that helps me tremendously, because all I have to do is download it from the cloud and import it into my medical software. But most people don't want to do that. They're still old fashioned, want to come in, get a clipboard and fill everything out. So they spend 30 minutes filling out paperwork sometimes if they're slow. And then that has to be scanned in, and then it has to be taken by a technician, reviewed, imported into the chart, and then of course reviewed in the front of the patient. Because a lot of times patients will put something down, but they don't mean it. So then you have to ask, and they're like, oh no, I didn't say that. Well, it says right here, this is, going on. And they're like, oh no, I didn't mean that. Okay, well then you have to cross it out and sign it. And so we'll rescan it. So yes, new patients require more workup and time than established patients. For example, established patients, most of my established patients, whether they have diabetes that I'm doing co-management on, glaucoma, cataracts, macular degeneration, I know that coming in, I've already communicated with their primary care doctor. And so it tends to be a faster workup. So they are seeing, like if I have a new patient coming in at 8, I may have an established patient also coming in at 8, but the new patient won't be ready until 8:30, 8:45 when I'm finishing up with the established patient. So yes, new patients I schedule in the morning because surprise, you never know what you're going to walk into.
Hi, I'm Kaylee. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Kate.
My question is like, what is like a typical like day to day or week to week like look like for you?
So I am an atypical practice for optometry because of my specialty in ocular disease. I see a ton of pathology, and just today, I'll just go through my day. So I saw this really awesome new patient. He Japanese descent and new to me. He was a new patient, came in as an emergency, and he ended up having a horseshoe retinal tear. So I immediately was able to get with his primary care physician, which unfortunately he did not know what insurance he had. It ended up being an HMO. And if you know HMOs, I'm just going to tell you right now, they suck. Okay. So as a doctor, I can't make a direct referral. I have to contact the primary care physician and get the primary care physician to make a referral to the specialist within the HMO network. And that's the difference between HMOs and PPOs. So if it's a PPO, I can say, oh my gosh, you have a retinal tear. It's becoming a detachment. You need to have surgery either tonight or tomorrow morning. I'm going to schedule that for you and get it done. It's much harder through an HMO because you have to jump through all these hoops with the primary care. And we hope that the primary care is in town and that somebody's managing all those fax referrals. We also had another emergency today, 21-year-old white male who ended up having adult inclusion conjunctivitis. That is actually chlamydia of the eye. So I had to treat him orally and topically and then give information about sexual partners and things like that. We had several diabetic evaluations. I had 2 type 1 diabetics this morning. One of them really good. One of them, and she was good because she had a transplant of a pancreas and a kidney from a 12-year-old donor who has since expired. And that's why she got the transplant. And she's doing great. In fact, her retina is getting better after her transplant. And I had another type 1 diabetic who's not being compliant, and we're scheduling them for retinal laser surgery. I saw several macular degeneration patients today, glaucoma. I saw 25 patients today, and out of 25, I had 2 nystagmus today, which is neuro workup. I had 3 patients that you might consider normal, that they just came in for glasses or contacts. Everybody else was ocular disease emergencies and treatments. So I am atypical. Most of the time, I'm the doctor that if somebody can't figure it out, they send it to me. If I can't figure it out, then they go to a specialist. So I'm a little bit different. And also I'm different because of the area I live in. So like you guys are in Austin, it's more of a younger crowd in that area. And with younger age groups, you have different diseases or less diseases. I am in Rockport, so our average age of our town is much older than in Austin. And so we live in a retirement community, and older patients outweigh younger patients. Just ask Hannah, she'll tell you all about the crazy drivers we have, and they're not young people that are crazy drivers.
Hi, my name is Zachary.
Hi, Zachary.
Nice to meet you. My question is, what made you pick optometry out of all the careers?
Out of all my careers, one, it is something that I can schedule and take off and have family time. Two, it allowed me to dig deeper into, how do I say this? It's not just one organ, even though we're looking at eyeballs, we are also looking at other diseases that manifest things that you find in the eye. So I like to be a little Sherlock Holmes. I like to be an investigator. And I like to help people find things that maybe can save their life. And we've done that. So here in Rockport, I've been here. I'm going in my 21st year. February 12th of 2021 started my 21st year here. And I have seen 12 ocular melanomas, which is very life-threatening. Of the 12 patients that I have found cancer of the eye, 4 of them are living. The rest of them have passed on because it had metastasized to the brain and spinal cord. My youngest patient was 9 when he was diagnosed, and I found it and immediately sent him to MD Anderson in Houston, and he died when he was 11. My oldest patient I found right after Hurricane Harvey in October of 17, and he passed away from cancer of the brain October of 18. So he made it a year after diagnosis. But it is something, another weird thing that I know that maybe Hannah's mom might know this person is, she came in wanting glasses and contacts, and she had what we call chirpy of the retina or bear claw. And I told her, well, we need to order a colonoscopy. And she argued with me. I just want glasses and contacts. I'm like, I know, but I see this. And the lining of the back of the retina is the same lining in your colon. And so it took me 4 months to convince her to go get the dang colonoscopy. And sure enough, there's a strong link between bear claw or chirpy and colon cancer. And she was 27 at the time. And she had 3 precancerous colon polyps, and we ended up saving her life. And her primary care physician was like, oh my God, because he just was like, well, can I speak freely on here? Okay, so he was saying, oh, come on, Dr. Soto, you don't know your eye from your ass. And I'm like, I'm serious. I've been with retina. You need to have this colonoscopy. And sure enough, we were able to save her life. And then he called me back with the lab report and was just floored. So it took a while, I will tell you, Zachary, when I came to Rockport, because you get medically trained, you do your internship, then you do your externship, and then you come to a small town. Nobody knows you. They don't understand what you did to get to become an eye doctor. They don't understand the extra qualifications that you went through. So, and being a female, I took over a practice that was a man's practice before me. And I'm in a good old boy kind of town. Now, you may not know that, but there is discrimination sometimes with female doctors coming in a small town that was predominantly run by a man. So it took about a good 10 years for people to realize, oh, okay, she knows what she's doing. And I had to work with all the doctors in my community. But it is the most rewarding profession to me, being a female, because I still get to do I get to drill metal out of people's eye all day long, between welders and fish hooks and, flash burns. I get to treat all my emergency stuff. And then if it's after hours, we have an urgent care and ER for that. So where I can leave and go home and be with my family, and actually plan weekends and trips. And, it's been a great profession. Don't get me wrong. I like the ER and I like the hospital-based setting, but for me, family is very, very important. And I wanted to spend time with my family. And this is a profession that allowed me to do that, yet contribute to the overall health care of every patient.
I think we have time for about 2 more questions, so I'll ask one of mine. What is the dynamic and relationship like between you and your coworkers?
Good question. So the easiest part for me, by far, being a boss, because you have several hats. You wear a doctor's hat, and then you wear your boss hat. The easiest part for me by far is seeing patients. Although challenging, I got that. That's easy. The hardest part for me is being a boss, because a lot of my staff I don't see. I'm going from room to room to room, and I have to delegate stuff to my staff and expect them to do their job, train them, know their job, keep them certified, and do the best that they can do when I'm taking care of a patient. So there are times like my office manager, I can literally go 3 days without even seeing her. Because I come in at 7:30 in the morning, prepare my charts, and I get going, and she'll come in later, and then she'll leave for lunch, and she leaves before I do, and then she leaves at 5 o'clock, and I may stay till 5:30 finishing up my last patient. So the hardest part is being the boss. Coworkers, it's interesting that you say that, because I've been trying to find help as far as another doctor to come to Rockport. And Rockport is beautiful. It's a little paradise, but a lot of the younger people graduating from school, they want to be in big cities. They want to be where the restaurants are, where the football, basketball games are, and they don't really want to be family at that moment, or fishing may not be their thing, or the beach may not be their thing. I mean, okay, it's awesome, but they may not want to be in a beach retirement resort town. So COVID happened and a practice closed down in Corpus, and I was able to get a doctor who's much older than me, and he's probably going to retire in about 3 years. He said he only wants to work a short time. The interesting thing with him is he doesn't want to become an employee. He wants to be an independent contractor. So I have had to work alongside this older male who I quickly found out does not have as much pathology education as I've had. And I've realized that we have very two different types of practice modules. And so that's been interesting. So as a coworker, I've had to have meetings with him and talk with him, and like, he doesn't know how to do certain stuff. So he'll say, I don't know how to do this. I'm going to give the patient to you to do this. And I'm like, okay, no problem. And it's just like, I think everybody should know certain things, but he's from a different time era than I was. So that is expected. I will tell you, if you decide to go into business with a partner, now he's not a partner, he's not contributing to the financial or anything of the business. It's almost like a marriage. It's almost like a marriage. So you have to choose your partners wisely. And definitely set boundaries and set contracts out, so that way everything that you want is expected and known up front, and you don't have surprises on the back end. So is everybody here going into biology or some type of science field?
Yes.
Awesome.
I believe so.
Because we need science and health industry big time. We are losing students to computer stuff and you name it. So you guys are coming in at a good time, where soon you guys are going to have a plethora of stuff available to you. As the next generation retires, you're going to have to take on a whole lot of patients, because there's not going to be a lot of doctors. Like, I think the projection is 15 years, it's really going to drop. So you guys have a really good opportunity.
If someone wants to ask Dr. Soto one more question, we have time for one more.
I have one.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so what was your pathway to success?
Number one, study. Number two, stay busy. As weird as that sounds, you will find that when you have more downtime, you tend to get lazy. So stay busy and stay focused. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals that have the same goals as you. You will find that the more that you surround yourself with challenging people that have the same like-minded goals, that are striving, to be the best, you will achieve greatness. If you surround yourself with crud, you're going to be crud. If you surround yourself with people who are, good study partners, they challenge you, they encourage you, you're going to be better. Like the term from the Bible, iron sharpens iron. So find things that you like to do. You're going to have to vent. You're going to have to, whether it's working out to pump endorphins in your body. I loved working out. In fact, boxing was one of my best things when I was in college. I also did scuba diving, a way for me to get out, hit the knock something out, and then shower and then get back. So definitely stay busy. You have to at least do some type of athletic something to get your body in shape, because you just can't sit on the couch and study all the time. When you study, change up your study place and change up your study habit. So back then, I think when I started studying, I would even go to different universities. So for example, when I was in Houston, Rice University was a great place for me to study because it had multiple floors and different avenues. So I would study at Rice, I would study at University of Houston, I studied at the College of Optometry. I would go study at coffee shops and sandwich shops. But you want to, study for sure, surround yourself, and sharpen your mind and body too. So stay healthy, make good choices. Yeah. Oh, and don't forget, I think a good thing is open your eyes and get out to where you think you want to be and go and interview. Make those network connections, because you can volunteer to work and say, you can go up to any doctor and I'm sorry, my neighbor just drove by. You can volunteer to work at any place. And I'm going to tell you something. I've had students come to me and say, hey, I think I want to be an eye doctor. Can I work with you for 2 weeks? And I'm like, absolutely, yes. Because here's what medical schools, optometry schools, pharmacy schools, here's what they don't want. They don't want you applying and taking a spot that, because you only have so many spots per class. And they don't want you taking that spot. And the professors don't want to invest a year or two of high training for you to decide 2 years down the road, it's not for me, and drop out. Because then what happens is somebody whose spot could have had that, they could have been a doctor and helped the medical profession in some way. So a lot of doctors want you to figure out what you want, in what field you might want to be. And that's why a lot of them say you must do your volunteer. They give you so many hours. I'm not sure what it is now, but I do know that they recommend that you shadow for so many hours just to make sure, because it's a highly sought seat you're trying to get. And it's a very expensive one too. So you don't want to invest 2 years and graduate with, leave all this debt and not have a degree. The other thing I say, you guys are in your undergraduate, right? Because I know Hannah is, you're all UT undergraduates. Okay, get a degree. Don't get it in pre-med or pre-optometry with the idea of I'm going to go pre-med or pre-optometry and then go to optometry school, because what if you don't make it? Because and I think our second year we had a large dropout because they flunked, they couldn't pass pharmacology. So get a degree and make sure it says University of Texas, whatever, biology, biochemistry, chemistry, whatever. But get a degree. Don't just go pre-something, because if something happens, then, you got to have something to fall back on. But that's not going to happen to any of y'all, right? You'll be good. You're good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Soto, for taking your time out of your day to interview.
I like the little dorm room.
Thanks. But that is all. So if everybody just wants to sign out again, thank you, Dr. Soto.
You're welcome. You'll have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.